Jane Wells, Eyewitness News.
This fire that we saw for hours moving slowly down the mountain is now right at our feet. It is just behind us here, and we got to get out of here pretty shortly.
That's no hooker, that's me.
If you don't like to hear people talk about sex, don't watch.
I've been swinging 18 years. I don't know, there might have been 1,000 women in that 18 years, but I have never cheated on my wife.
Traditionally, animated movies have gotten the green light just by looking at a series of drawings on a storyboard. Let's see. You might This guy walked away, the guy who was in this car behind that steering wheel when this came down on him, a freeway overpass.
And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. All right? We'll stand in recess tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
You heard it here live. The jury in the O.J. Simpson case has reached a verdict in less than 1 day of deliberation. I mean, I've counted, is it 9 lawsuits? How many lawsuits?
I mean,
that's a lot of lawsuits.
You know, that's also testimony to my success, though. I mean, the fact that I'm a target for baseless lawsuits is...
Are they all baseless?
Yes, they're all the lawsuits that have been levied against me are baseless.
All lies?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and go through, you know, thousands of pages or some...
She is live from a cranberry bog.
There's the woman they sold the defective wheelchair to, the deported Pakistani restaurateur. Geraldo, it just went on and on and on into the night.
And so we wait.
And for those of you who don't really understand what a Santa Anas can do, it is a national epidemic of butt dialing. What's healthcare going to cost you?
A lot. It's going to produce the exact opposite of what they've said. There's a sense in the land of discomfort. There's a sense of fear that the politicians are ruining us. And the people are right. It's got to stop.
I'm actually driving this thing, Melissa. This is, don't talk to me right now. I can't talk to you.
Women should be in charge, like the insect kingdom. You're much brighter than we are. You should have thousands of babies and be in charge.
You have my vote, except for the thousands of babies. I don't need to have thousands. I had 2.
At least practice thousands of times.
From downtown Los Angeles, Jane Wells, Channel 5, News at 10.
Also, we want to get to our task force right now. Rick Santelli and Jason Roney of Sharma Capital are standing by at the CME Group in Chicago. And Rick, have you been listening to this conversation?
Listening to it, I've been just glued to it because Mr. Ross has nailed it. You know, the government is promoting bad behavior because we certainly don't want to put stimulus forth and give people a whopping $8 or $10 in their check and think that they ought to save it. And in terms of modifications, I'll tell you what, I have an idea. You know, the new administration's big on computers and technology. How about this, President and new administration? Why don't you put up a website to have people vote on the internet as a referendum to see if we really want to subsidize the losers' mortgages, or would we like to at least buy cars and buy houses in foreclosure and give them to people that might have a chance to actually prosper down the road and reward people that could carry the water instead of drink the water.
Hey, Rick,
that's a novel idea.
Hey, Rick, did you?
What? Who thought of that?
Yeah, they're like putty. They're like putty in your hands. Did you hear?
No, they're not, Joe. They're not like putty in our hands. This is America. How many of you people want to pay for your neighbor's mortgage that has an extra bathroom and can't pay their bills? Raise their hand. How about we all? President Obama, are you listening?
Welcome back. Silicon Valley is known for innovation, and some of the skills necessary for success in that region are being taught to prison inmates. Jane Wells, who else, is live from San Quentin with more. Jane?
Hey, Kelly, you know, one of the greatest returns on investment in Silicon Valley is here at San Quentin. Check it out. Tucked inside here is a prison education program with 0% recidivism among graduates who leave the facility, and it doesn't cost taxpayers a dime. It's called The Last Mile.
So this is the dashboard. It's pulling in the page likes and the follower counts from the various social media sites.
Chris Schumacher is in for murder, but he will soon be paroled. He has new job skills, coding, learned in San Quentin, even though there's no internet inside. The Last Mile, started by venture capitalist Chris Redlitz and his wife Beverly Parenti, created mock servers to teach inmates software development. Companies like Slack and Airbnb are using them. 20 inmates had graduated, left San Quentin, all have jobs. Mark Zuckerberg visited. They all knew who he was, even though none of them had ever been on Facebook. But why should anyone help these people?
This is a population that is forgotten. And the truth is that 95% of the people who are incarcerated in our facilities in the United States are coming home. So I ask, who do you want them to be?
I never really thought about my impact on the world. Yeah, I didn't think I had a responsibility. The only responsibility I felt like I had was to me. And now I realize that I have a responsibility to how the condition of our world is. And if I don't do some things to try to give back, then I'm not doing my part.
17 years feels like a lifetime. And it's amazing to think that in a few short weeks, I'll be walking out the gates as a free man.
It was very moving yesterday as the latest group of coders graduated. Last Mile is paid for privately and also with prison revenues from sales like things like license plates. No taxpayer money. It's very difficult to get in this program. Hundreds apply. Only 30 are chosen per class. The goal, or one of the goals, guys, is to reduce recidivism, and that'll save taxpayers a lot of money. Back to you.
That's a great story, Jane. It's good to see you on camera again. Jane Wells at San Quentin today.
I'm in prison for first-degree robbery, murder, and attempted murder, and I was sentenced to 54 years to life in prison.
What's your nickname?
My nickname is Wall Street.
38-year-old Curtis Carroll went to prison at age 17 and didn't know how to read. One day, he meant to pick up the sports section of the paper, but he picked up the business section instead.
And when I went to turn away to leave, an older prisoner saw me and asked me, he said, "Hey, youngster, you play stocks?" I asked him, I said, "What's the stock market?" And he said, "That's the place where white folks keep all their money."
That sparked Carroll's interest, and over the next 4 years, he learned to read by studying the business section.
I saw an article in the paper, no, it was a magazine, and it had Bill Gates and Warren Buffett's net worth next to countries. And it was showing how these guys, and I had never even knew that $1 billion existed, let alone see these guys that had 20 and 30 and 40 and 50, 60 billion.
He became a student of Warren Buffett's investing philosophy and asked friends on the outside to open an E-Trade account where he could invest his earnings from prison jobs.
My best investment was this company called Taser International. Dumbest move I've made, Valiant. We just got a little bit of Snapchat. I had Bank of America. I'm up. I mean, if you're talking about money that I've made myself and just money that I've made for people, in general, just giving advice and things like that, 6 figures easily. So even though a dilution of those shares happened, those shares are still there.
Yep, Wall Street does give advice for free and has even started a financial literacy group inside San Quentin.
They now have 7 shares. You never lose your money.
His hope is to someday leave prison. He could go before the parole board in 3 years, then start a hedge fund and teach inner city kids a better way.
So all criminals are entrepreneurs. I was a great entrepreneur, just got caught doing it. If someone had said, this kid out here in Oakland, California, that's running around, burglarizing homes, has managed to customize a way where he can take a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and a brake adjuster and break inside of an arcade game in 30 seconds and get $800 in quarters and turn that into a business. If we got this kid to MIT, what could he do?
But more than anything, Wall Street would love to meet his idol, Warren Buffett.
And you have inspired me to become something that my family, my friends, and my community can be proud of. And I just think stocks is the greatest platform that man has ever created, that the average citizen and average person can play in and own some of the greatest brands that society's ever seen.
An education which has perhaps allowed a convicted murderer to take stock. For Nightly Business Report, Jane Wells, San Quentin.
I'm in prison for first-degree robbery, murder, and attempted murder, and I was sentenced to 54 years to life in prison.
What's your nickname?
My nickname is Wall Street. I saw an article in the paper, no, it was a magazine, and it had Bill Gates and Warren Buffett's net worth next to countries. And it was showing how these guys, and I had never even knew that $1 billion existed, let alone see these guys that had 20 and 30 and 40 and 50, 60 billion. My best investment was this company called Taser International. Dumbest move I've made, Valiant. So even though a dilution of those shares happened, those shares are still there. And I just think stocks is the greatest platform that man has ever created, that the average citizen and average person can play in and own some of the greatest brands that society's ever seen.
What do you think of President Trump?
What do I think of him? Yeah. You know, it's, you know, I voted for Hillary, and I thought she was more prepared and ready to be the president. He has to find a way to bring everybody together. And focus on the economy, putting people to work in our country, bringing people together in our country. And I think he's having a challenge to do those things right now, because right now he's all over the place. So he has to focus in. And then forget tweeting, you know, just deliver whatever your message is, deliver to us, you know. And I think that it's been a challenge, because somebody's saying one thing, then he tweets another thing, and the message is all over the place, right? And so I would say he got to get some wins, though. He's got to get some wins, because the country is sitting waiting on the president as well as his administration to provide us with how we're going to change things and put people to work here in America. He promised a lot of things, so he's got to now deliver on those promises. And so we'll see what happens.
Coming up, if your office is a tad bit emptier today, we think you know why. Eclipse Mania. Jane Wells is live in Madras, Oregon. It reminded me of like Raising Arizona, the way she was sitting out in that chair next to that crappy-looking tent. Anyway, it's expecting hundreds of thousands of visitors. Now is she in the
Hey guys, just taking a little nap here, about 3.5 hours away from the eclipse starting, and the campground's starting to wake up. It starts in Oregon, and up next, Oregon has some unique things it sells to cash in on this when we come back.
Just we two.